Friends, as we said last time, there is no enough when it comes to speaking about branding. And today's episode is one more on branding. We looked at what one should do so that you create a good brand. Today, we are going to look at what one should be aware of in the path to creating a good brand. While I think it is now undisputably agreed with all the sessions on branding that we have done, that branding holds the promise of propelling your business, your ventures to new heights, which you would not have been able to achieve without going through the process of branding. And branding enables you to capture the hearts and the minds of your target audience. And it also helps you to establish yourself as an unforgettable part of the market that you are in. But at the same time, you need to remember that branding can be a double-edged sword. If it is wielded with precision and expertise, it is a great asset, leading to superlative profits. But if it is mishandled, it can be a very costly affair and would be a big liability. For startups and product owners in particular, when it comes to branding, the stakes are very high for them. And the path itself, because they are new, because their product is new, because they are a new company, the path is full of potential pitfalls. And the last thing that you would want to do is to stumble into a mess of bad branding, so to say. So, as I said, in the previous episode, we looked at what one should do to create a successful brand. But today's episode, we are going to look at some common branding mistakes that one tends to make and which you will need to be aware of, to be wary of, and to make sure that you address them correctly or altogether avoid them. Because if you don't, it can hamper even your basic business. Leave aside just the brand. So you need to be very, very careful. So what are some of the common branding mistakes what one tends to make? And the first one that came to mind when I was sitting down and thinking about all these points was that I have seen very often that people tend to ignore their target audience. Okay? This can be a fatality when it comes to branding. And therefore, you need to adapt a customer-centric thinking. You have to think of your audience at all times. And actually, to define your audience, you need to begin with defining what you would believe is your ideal client, because you are the best one to sit and decide that. You are the one who knows your product and what it is going to deliver for the user the best. So you need to define your ideal client. What is going to be the need? What are the pain points? What are the ways that you can help solve them? And once you've done this, you need to plan and map a journey for your customer that is going to help him or her to purchase your product and to use it to the best so that his problems, his pain points are relieved. And since you're going to address this, you need to have constant feedback to make sure that it is doing the function, the job that it is supposed to do. And if not, that feedback will give you enough information, hopefully, for you to be able to write your product so that it does what it is actually supposed to do. And therefore, you need to create some kind of a networking system by which you will constantly communicate with your customers and your audience. Maybe create a blog. It can be as simple as that, but you need to do something. The second mistake I have seen people do, and this is not only about brands, it's even true about people who don't brand but create a new business, is that they do not invest time, energy, and funds in doing market research and analyzing all the data that is available. Okay, so everybody loves the product and the concept that they have, but don't be blindly in love with your product. Okay, we often say that don't love your product, and that is because then you don't want to sell it. But here it's not that. You should not love your product unconditionally and blindly, because then you are not looking at the reality when you are looking at all the customer's needs, the customer, whatever it is that the market is telling you about your product. So you need to be not in love with your product. And you need to be very, very practical about your vision. It's great to have lofty visions, but then if you can't find a path to reach that level and attain the goals that that vision defines or you define with the vision, what good is that vision? So be practical. Set up vision and goals that are achievable. Okay. And while it is great to be confident, but do not be overconfident without justification. If you're sure of everything, if you're sure of the market research, if you're sure of all the data that you have collected, please go ahead. But so to do all of this, you need to understand the value of the research that you need to know what works and what doesn't work. You need to include the time that it takes to do the research, to find out what works and doesn't work. Very often people are just bothered about having revenues and therefore they rush to market. The go-to-market strategy doesn't work at all. It goes for a toss. And they will take shortcuts even in product development so that they can launch it fast. But that's not going to help you in the long run. And probably won't help you in the short term. And remember one thing at the end of the day, if in the short term your product fails, it's going to be very, very difficult to recover from that. So you have to have the minimum viable and valuable product. And you need to use the right teams with the right skills to be able to help you in making decisions that are pragmatic. So when you're setting up and doing your market research, as I said, the first thing you need to do is your consumer research. What are their pain points? What are their desires? What are the demographics of the people you are going to address? Okay, supposing you have a product which is meant only for the youngsters, fashionable, stylish product. Okay, then targeting the 80-year-olds is not going to help you. You need to know the demographics so that you target the right people. The same way, if you have something, say a pain reliever, which is very, very useful for arthritis, are you going to target the youngsters? Are you going to target the teenagers for that? That'd be a waste of time, energy, money, everything. And you need to understand the behavior of your target audience. And all this is not easy to do. I don't expect you to do it all by yourself. But you need to make it a habit to seek help. Maybe get experts to advise you and help you with this. And then use that data. That data has to be reliable to iterate and tweak your product so that your product delivers the optimal results. Going beyond optimal should be your goal, Offering anything that is below optimal is going to harm. And don't neglect to give the right brand message at all times. Don't just keep a product-centric focus, which I've seen in plenty of startups, especially. It's not enough. A product-centric focus will make you focus on the features and benefits of the, but it will make you ignore the branding, the marketing, and the sales. And I know even from my my college colleagues, so many people who have brilliant products, but they think they can do it all because they know the tech. They don't know marketing, they don't know selling, but they want to do it themselves. And invariably, those startups have not done well. Make a strategic plan of how you are going to run your business and your brand. And use the power of storytelling. Everybody loves a story, no matter what kind of a product it is. And a part of storytelling should be telling your customer stories, how it benefited them, what are they feeling after they're using your product. Emotions need to be involved. Clearly define your value proposition right from the start. And to help you with this, of course, today there is AI. Though personally, I don't like AI. None of these episodes are with AI for the simple reason that I find it lacks the human touch. Okay, but you need to get an expert copywriter, somebody who's good with words to help you draft that message very, very clearly, very succinctly, and so that it conveys exactly what it is supposed to say. Communicate your brand updates regularly. Everybody loves a brand that is constantly evolving because then they are assured of getting better product every time. So make sure that you communicate this to your customers. And in all these communications which we talk of, there is one thing that is very important, and that is to be consistently consistent. If you are inconsistent, say you're using the wrong visuals, you're using the wrong copy, or as that famous WhatsApp joke, which I'm sure all of you have heard, if you use the same statement and write it the same way for somebody who's reading Urdu, where they read from right to left, and therefore it has an opposite meaning. Simple things where you can be conflicting is you are projecting yourself as the neighborhood shop, whatever. And then you are saying in another communication that you are a global network of shops. There's a dichotomy there unless you explain it clearly. Or you're saying that your product is artisanal, it is handmade, and then you say that I have a mass market. Those are brand inconsistencies. Okay. And also, along with brand messaging consistency, you need brand constancy. A lot of people have seen change brands, change names too often. It's not good because people are not going to remember you then. Okay, so being inconstant and changing the brand frequently is going to hamper your brand no end. Do not let people who have incomplete or improper understanding of your brand be in charge of the communication. Because a brand communication is not just about the logo and the tagline. It's way beyond that. And every interaction you do with your customers, no matter what channel you're communicating through, you have to make sure that the message going across the board is the same. And don't have multiple contributors who are not in sync. Even within your organization, if there are 3 people who are working on it, you have to make sure that they are in sync and that every communication that you do is as per the guidelines that you have set up. And therefore, coming to guidelines, you need to create a guidebook which will talk about the brand, which will talk about the style, which will talk about the logo, which will talk about the colors you have to use, which will talk of the philosophy of the brand, the philosophy and the functionality of the product in the same language across various channels. The easiest way to do this, along with the guide, is to create certain standard templates and tools to make sure that you don't deviate. When you try to communicate, more often than not, we just look at either the content, that is the reading part of it, or if it's a video, you will look at the visual. But that alone is not enough. And even the visuals, you need to create them in such a way. I remember the Coca-Cola visual. They used to have Coca-Cola written with all those dew spots all around it. Immediately gives you the concept that you're talking of something that is served chilled. Okay? Or say the Google, how they tweak their logo to do whatever is current. That way that Google is written, you open the homepage and you will see what is happening in the world today. So create innovative and distinctive ways by which you will communicate and use each channel differently, innovate differently, but the message consistency has to be there. And you need to be very precise and comprehensive. Nobody likes to read 20 pages about what your brand is all about. In today's world, especially, nobody has the time, patience to read so much. So you need to make sure that your message that you are giving is precise and comprehensive. People don't remember and don't want to read long communication. So you need to make very clear about that. And then whenever you are communicating, no matter how you are communicating, you need to create an emotional connect with your customers. Because you need to build relationships with them. You just don't want to sell to them. Okay. And if you do not create that emotional connect, trust me, after some time, they are going to forget who you are. So whenever you are communicating, communicate with emotion and the emotional benefits of the brand that your consumer is going to get. By using your brand, he becomes more confident, he achieves more success, he looks more smart, he feels pride on using your brand. Whatever it is, you have to figure out how to emotionally connect with them and how their emotions can be connected to the brand. Make sure you have a clear vision and clear goals right from day one. Not having a clear vision, not having specific objectives, and not having created a map which is well defined, well thought of, and which sets you in the right direction is going to kill your brand from day one. Trust me on that. Be authentic always. Don't copy the competition, no matter how successful they are. You need to be yourself. And to be yourself, there will be times when you need to take risks. Go ahead and take the risk. Work on short-term goals, as we said last time, but within the map and the long-term vision that you have created. There will be budget constraints for any startup. So you need to plan your finances, allocate funds wisely. Everything doesn't just go into product development. You have to make sure that you are budgeting for marketing and branding expenses. Okay, include short-term plans for revenue generation, as we said in the last episode, but do not ignore the long-term vision. These are the things that you need to do, my friends, to be able to create a good brand. We're going to do one more episode next time for sure on branding, and I hope this has been helping you. If it has, please do send me a message and tell me that, yes, you're doing great with it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.